Okay, hello everyone. This is SIG Scheduling meeting, August 20th. And let me see if I can share anything. Okay, there's probably no point in sharing the agenda because there is only one item there. Okay, so okay, am I sharing the right document, the SIG Scheduling planning for 148? Is that correct? Yep. Okay. So I think it's worth to start discussing what we should take on our plate for the next release. There are a few things. As usual, the workload hour scheduling remains our top priority. That means that the remaining capacity, especially the reviewing capacity for any other efforts, will be very limited. So we need to, like previously, do some prioritization and follow it strictly. So we can. So there are two parts, I would say. So workload hour scheduling. This is. I listed mainly the areas in which we. So there are no like details about what exactly tasks are under those areas, because I think we need to work out, and I would try to list the most important elements that we need to do under that. But I think this is ongoing. This is not settled down yet. So so the more interesting part is non-VAS. So all other efforts that we can fit in the remaining capacity. And I think we should rather focus on that area. We have some proposals here, but I think there are many other options which we probably could list under the candidate section, and later we will evaluate against the priorities of the ones that we listed here. So at the beginning, the ask is to provide and list everything that we believe is important, so that we can discuss and decide what is more and what is less important. Yeah, Kanzai?
Yeah. So two things that crossed my mind right now is, so one is performance testing. I think we wanted to do some scheduler perf improvement for workload hour scheduling last release, but we, as far as I know, we didn't do that. I mean, we didn't achieve that. So that's one thing I want to have, especially because, there's a couple of performance improvements on the table, including opportunistic batching, but we don't really have a good way to measure it. So that's one thing. It's not like kept level feature, but I think it's still like one of the important features. I mean, not features, but like important things that we have to do. And the other thing is backlog queue, back of stuff, like in general. I think at the beginning of last release, we had a few conversation around like how we should do with back of time basically, and there's a couple of ideas that we like we raised, but we didn't really conclude like what is the best way and what is the way like what is the direction that we should do. So that's another thing that we I mean like at least we should conclude and like have some work ongoing.
Sure. So regarding the mentioned, I think this is the. I think you are referring to this, right? The workload
Oh
always
yeah,
performance.
exactly.
So I think there will be.
Is it only me
Work
that
on this
Dominic?
part.
I think that Dominic, we lost you for, I don't know, 20 seconds or so. If you could repeat. Can you hear us?
I'm sorry, maybe I should switch to a different connection. Do you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, but your camera is kind
Yeah,
of
you seem
frozen.
frozen. Let me ping Dominic on chat whether he's changing the connection.
Yeah, let's wait.
How about now? Is it better?
Oh, it's much better.
Okay. Am I still sharing the screen?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So about the performance, I think which we will track it under this point.
Yeah.
And making sure the workload hour scheduling provides like sufficient performance. I think this is a critical element before we can declare the feature to GA.
Yeah, exactly. We have a lot of ideas on table, but like that's just like on theory. We have a lot of like for example, how to handle best for pods in the pod group. We have a few ideas, but we don't really have a good tooling to see how they will actually work. So
Yeah.
I think performance testing is one of the biggest critical thing.
Exactly. Regarding this scheduler starvation, I had this entry here. There are two potential things we can work on: the queuing hints, performance improvement by doing some batching of queue hints and updating like waiting pods in batches. This is one of the options how we can address the issue, and I just paste the pod back of time as a second thing that can improve the situation.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
We will have to look into that, because as far as I remember, there was no really good way making sure that this back of time we can automate it in a reasonable way. But let's put it here, and we will follow up on it.
So queuing him performance is I think it's a bit of technical detail, but I think we could have some idea to improve the performance only for pod group. I know that queuing hint for pod group is not implemented, or implemented, but it's not the best shape right now. And I think one thing that we could do is similar to opportunistic batching, assuming that pods are in the same shape, then opportunistic batching should queuing hint should return the same result for the pods. So that's one thing that might boost the performance here. And regarding backoff, I think, like you said, yeah, we have to continue discussing. There's, I think, like one way is somehow automate the like calculate the like maximum time based on some like complexity or something else. And the other thing is like as far as I remember, instead of doing like in the first place, the question would be whether backup still makes sense for ML workload clusters or not.
Mm-hmm.
So there's those kind of controversial points on this thread, I think, and we haven't concluded yet. Yeah.
Okay,
Matt.
regarding the previous thing that
Sorry.
you mentioned about
Mhm.
QHIN's performance, did you mean to have something like kind of opportunistic batching for QHINs? Is that
Yeah,
what?
exactly. Maybe it could be part of opportunistic batching, but I haven't it's not that I have a concrete idea, but I feel like we could do something similar to opportunistic batching at least.
Yeah. So I was also thinking about that. So let's put it as an idea.
Yeah.
I think Kevin was next.
Matt, Kevin.
Yeah. So I guess one thing, I guess a lot of the WAS work also is we're focusing on the controllers. Does SIG scheduling want to help review those for WAS, or are we considering those being like completely owned by SIG apps?
If you say controllers, like
there's
job
a goal,
controller, or
Yes.
also
job
automated
deployment,
stuff as well.
stateful set.
Stateful set, job set,
I
and a
think
couple others.
that's a like difficult question, but because
I can take that. Like it's like I will definitely help, and obviously we also need SIG apps for approvals, right? Because that's not something SIG scheduling help there. And I really hope like what we did with Heba for job is actually, and also like the CAB with the building blocks, right? And the workload builder that sets the direction. Obviously, I'm not saying we have everything figured out because like different controllers work in different way and have like certain challenges when it comes to integration with us. For example, the recent discussion we had about the deployment and how the replica set actually affects pod groups, and like why mean commutability is critical there, or maybe we like need different semantic for that. But overall, I feel that should be enough, right? Because we have some like initial integration that showed other controllers how to do that. I will be happy to help on the WAS side whenever there are like questions or something is uncertain. But in the end, we still need like SIG apps for the approvals. So
okay.
Yeah, I agree. I think basically CLab should be the primary owner of implementation, and like SIG scheduling would be like kind of advisor, to like help implementation, or in some cases maybe help some reviews in like certain point. But like we don't have actual like experience reviewing like job control or demo set or whatever control implementation in detail. So I think the primary reviewer and implementer would be still SIG up, while we can of course have some help.
Yeah, so what I wrote here is actually I thought about it in this way, that reviewing should be on a working group workload hour scheduling. The fact that there is an overlap with people from SIG scheduling and workload hour scheduling working group is another thing. So technically, yes, some people, like mainly Matt, will be involved. But strictly looking from the SIG scheduling perspective, it's out of scope, I would say.
+1 to that, for the integration in general, this is part of the WAS working group scope. So this is why it's not either like SIG apps only or SIG scheduling only. It's a common area, and this is why we have the working group. So we will work on being being reviewers and all the integrations, hopefully, as much as we can, and we will talk about the prioritization and the backlog for the working group in the working group meeting. So for the deployment, for stateful set, and for everything like that, the approver will be the SIG apps, of course, and the reviewer, it should be one of the working group, should review and hopefully approve as well before getting this.
And I would say that it's greatly offload SIG scheduling.
Yeah, this is the hope by the end of it, and of course I would be happy to be part of this as well, as Matt mentioned, and everyone in working group is welcome to be a reviewer as well.
Matt,
Yes, so I wanted to go back to this Q hint. So I just wanted to say that we should interpret this not as like the main issue is the issue, the link to the Q hint performance issue, but it's more the area, right? And we already like run some tests internally for like we have this problem for Q hints for a long time, right? That when you have like a lot of unschedulable pods, it's not really efficient what we are doing. So some ideas like
I think we need
opportunistic batching, like processing, that sounds good.
But Matt,
the issue is like with pod
Matt,
that
your voice is not clear, I think.
Right? Because if you are using gangs and you have like a lot of gangs, they will be unschedulable. Sorry, like I think
Matt,
is it me or no?
I think.
Oh, sorry.
I don't know if it's only me.
Yeah, so like with pod groups that get worse because with gangs, like some of the tests that we run are unschedulable, and we also have like implementation of pod Q gates for.
Can you repeat from the first?
Yeah, you are laggy.
Yeah, your voice is kind of like on and off.
I can like give me a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think first of all we need to figure out what is exactly the biggest bottleneck into which we should invest on. So some investigation is probably required before we decide.
Yeah. So that's the reason. I mean, like this prioritization is, I think, correct because in terms of like putting queuing hint performance as P2 and, for example, WAS performance is P1. So we should have a performance test first and like see, so on top of those benchmark, we can see how, like we can measure how like where is the bottleneck and like those kind of stuff. Oh, Matt, you're back?
Yeah, I think I'm back. Like, please, you tell me. But I think.
Yeah, I think you're back. I guess.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I fully agree. Like the P1 item we have, this should be like treated as investing into like testing infrastructure and basically revealing all those bottlenecks, and then like this P2Q hint is. I'm not sure what you got, what I was saying, but overall, what I wanted to say that should be treated more as an area, right? And obviously there is like we know already of some problems that we have in scheduler, and pod groups is making those problems worse because like with gang scheduling, you can have like a lot of pod groups that are not ready yet, meaning not all pods have appeared, and basically they will be all treated as unschedulable. And on top of that, we have like pretty suboptimal implementation of Q&Q for pod groups, which in many places like leads to some like n-square computation, which basically kills the performance at scale. But in general, like for me, this is more area, not this issue. Like it shouldn't be treated as the main issue here, right? That we want to do.
Yeah. So I think the main So it's actually related to back off stuff as well, but
Yeah,
like
yes, obviously.
in general, like I think the current scheduling queue, it's designed for the classic use case of Kubernetes, right? It's like application cluster. You might have unschedulable pods, but unschedulable pods are supposed to be like schedulable after like cluster outscaler work or something. And like it's not that we always have, for example, 1K unschedulable pods or something. It's not happening usually for like those application cluster use cases. But now we have like not only about pod group, but like this kind of machine learning cluster, batch cluster use case in general. It's like people are usually maximizing the utilization on the cluster. And so basically they queue the pending pods and wait for them to be admitted, unless they use a queue or something that block the pod creation. But so like in that scenario, like it's very normal that the scheduling queue has a lot of pending pods, and queuing can, and also like backup time. Those are not well designed for that case. Like queuing can, like Matt said, it just simply have to iterate all the pods. And for backup as well, like when, for example, let's say like one job is finished, and then what happens today is all the pending pods will be probably retried, because now we have a free node, and like all pods are retried, and like maybe some higher priority ones are getting in the place that got empty, but like other pods are put back into the queue, and then that makes the back of time longer for them. So in general, I feel like we should kind of like renovate the scheduling queue in general for those like scenarios where it has a lot of pending pods and queuing hints and back of time stuff. Those are for the same problem, I feel like.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. We should probably like brainstorm this a bit and try looking for
We could
new
have
approaches there.
something completely new.
Because like the basic Kubernetes and the way users are using it, it evolves, right? And so probably that wasn't designed for what we are now doing or our users are doing. On the other hand, like also I have an intuition that if we do like pod groups properly, then this might be a solution, right? Because pod group is a mechanism to group multiple pods together and have like a single entity representing them in the queue, right? So if we do that right, that may also help with performance, because instead of tracking 1,000 pods, you just track a single pod group, and if you do it properly, then
yeah, that's for sure.
Okay, so I think that we'll like follow up on this plan on the next 6 scheduling meetings as well. But the ask for today would be to make sure that that we have a complete list of important items, so that to avoid adding some important stuff later on, which will eventually we would have to like remove something else to work on it. So that's one thing. Andre?
Yeah, I have a quick question on bullet point number 3 for CPG going to beta. Do we expect that we have at least one controller integration and real use case before going to beta?
Not really, right? Because that's the egg and chicken problem that we very often have here. It's really hard to expect any controller to commit to implement like alpha implementation, because that's like very often it has zero value, right? Because no one really will use that. So usually the controller owners, they want to wait. Like as we have Kevin here, right, with the job set. Like that was pretty reasonable pushback to basically wait, like implement something based on beta for pod groups and wait until CPG is in beta to actually have the implementation. But I think that's not a strict requirement, like answering your question. For beta graduation of CPG, it's more that we need to have like some proof that this work, right? So like a design, or ideally multiple designs for controllers showing that, yeah, this should work, that should be enough.
Yeah, but for pod groups, we did have integration with job controller for alpha, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, at least maybe having something somewhere would be helpful from my perspective.
It would be helpful. Like if you want to, I don't know, help with one of the controllers that you own or like own or maintain, right? Like train job, I will be more than happy to have that. But I think still, if we don't have a single controller, but we have like multiple proofs that CPG makes sense, then I think it should be enough to graduate to beta. But obviously, like full integration is the best option, right? Yeah, Kevin.
Yeah, so I mean, my goal for the job set was just for 1.37. For what we give the customers, I want it to be based off beta APIs. And then I was hoping that we would iterate on composite pod group post-release and flesh out the details there. So like I'm okay with, like, basically I imagine a lot of this WAS work for controllers. We will have to iterate on it through multiple iterations in design or implementation.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's fine.
So yeah, my only concern is that, you know, during the investigation, if we want to introduce any breaking changes to CPG, and I understand you already have a specific use case where CPG will be useful, but I'm more kind of asking from the practical, standpoint, especially on the leader worker set, right? Because this is much more complex that, job set and the use cases we have on the batch point from the batch point of view, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I understand, I agree that, we first should release the support for pod groups in job set, and that makes sense to do it even the next job set release. But I mean, at least having some sort of alpha prototype, maybe staging image for job set,
exactly.
leader worker set,
so I said, like,
train job,
some kind of a proof, right? Design prototype, that's even better, right? Something that shows that it works. And to be honest, I kind of have a big faith in the like design of the CPG, right? So I'm not saying it solves now all the issues, but I'm pretty sure we can evolve this API in backwards compatible way, right? Like for cases where maybe we need more advanced policies, we can just add new policy, right, next to gang and basic. But I really doubt we will need to completely redesign the CPG, because it actually very closely mimics what we have in pod group, right? Just goes levels up. And like we spent a lot of time with Jordan Ligit, like on API design of this, and yeah, I think this. Like I'm not worried about this part, right? I'm more worried about implementing this in scheduler, like in a performant way, making sure it really works. Because what we did like now in 137, like for alpha, we cut a lot of corners, right? And we really need to like think more about many like design aspects there, like technical complexities there. So this is like what mostly worries me. If you ask it, like, what is the biggest risk that we don't go to beta in 138 with CPG? Yeah, Kevin.
Yeah, I guess I'm a little. So for WAS 1.38, the APIs, I'm seeing the P1, like, is the, like, for us. Well, anyway, I was thinking that we were going to be graduating the APIs in 1.38, but it sounds like we're not. That's not high, like, as
you mean
high
like to
priority.
GA or
yeah,
like that's kind of like we already covered, for example, the performance aspect, right? It's hard to really rush to GA if we already know there's like a lot of things that are slow or like really suboptimal. And overall, like the strategy here is that we want to tackle the most risky things first, right? And most ambiguous, which is, for example, CPG.
yeah.
And also,
I guess
like,
what I'm trying to get at is like,
like, just to make clear, like if we do everything, like the plan is to go, right? But those are like, I think this is the right order, right? We need to first make sure we are really ready to go to GA and only then go.
Yeah, maybe basically what I'm struggling with is, like, we have a lot of internal customers wanting gang scheduling and in 1.37 or 1.38, I'd like to enable the APIs like early, but beta APIs are usually not available in most like cloud providers. So like, is there like for you all, like, will this be something that users can use in cloud providers for 1.37 and then expecting that like it will be fine once it GAs, or are we still going to like wait on you? Like GA means like, because like I think, and Andre's question is beta with APIs is not enabled by default. Like it won't even be enabled by default until it GAs. I think it's post
like new
one.
fields in a GA beta field in a GA API then can be like enabled by default, but yeah.
But yeah,
we can't do this for beta, right? So it's only for GA, right?
The APIs will not be available on most clusters.
Okay. Yeah, for example, ECAS, I think they don't support, right? Beta features which are not enabled by default, right?
Correct.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people inherit the defaults of what Kubernetes does, but the issue is the APIs usually are not enabled by default until they're GA. So like, even if the feature gate is enabled, the APIs wouldn't be there. So that's, I guess, well, anyway, we can see what comes out in 1.38. I'm hoping like at least to start having internal customers using this feature, and I'd like to say like it should be relatively stable for people to test, especially or use, even if it's beta. But yeah, anyway, that's fine.
So for 1.37, we cannot make it enabled by default, right? This beta feature.
Like, you cannot make beta API enabled by default, like new types, right? Once you have like GA API and you have like some beta field, like for new features inside the API, you can make those enabled by default. But that'll be our problem in the next release, like opportunity actually, right? In the next releases. So yeah.
Okay.
So I haven't checked. So for beta, so for like stuff like actually we got rid of gang scheduling. Like generic workload is beta, but it's default off, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And same for, I know obviously job is alpha. So okay. So, but that means all the WAS related features until the API graduates should go beta. When they go beta, they'll be defaulted off until the APIs are available until the generic workload feature is turned on by default.
So like, let's imagine a scenario that we go to, or like GA in next release, right? And then TAS goes to beta. Then because TAS is only a field inside the pod group and workload objects, right? Then you can make them like enabled by default if you want. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like the API cannot be enabled by default if it's not GA.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess that sounds fine to me. Yeah. I just want to make sure. I mean, either way, I think people that want it can enable it.
Yeah. Like, I would also love to go to GA next release, but we need to be aware that, we have limited capacity, and I think it's important to make it right, because once it becomes enabled by default, it will really like start being available. People start using that, and if we have some problems there with performance, it will be like harder to fix, right? And
but before GA, Matt, you said like you have some testing right happening on the other side, right, from you guys and from others, because I mean it will be hard to get feedback from the community, right? As Kevin mentioned before, this go to
but
for example,
that's basically like the
public
P1 here, the one above, right? The P2,
okay.
the performance, right? We want to invest that in open source in those tests, right, to make sure it has a proper coverage. And I think also like the other argument here is like, obviously Gang is great, but I think the full value will come when we have everything right in GA. So we need to really catch up with TAS and ideal CPG, and then we'll go with everything to GA, because probably there is a value in just Gang scheduling, right? On the other hand, it's already available by like many other means like queue or like other schedulers or like different ways. So yeah, but we will see. Like this is like ordering is not, there isn't like no cut line here, right? Currently that we are saying we are not going to do that.
Yeah, I think one lesson learned from the previous releases is to not try to deliver everything, because it generates a lot of load on reviewers, and it may impact quality. And we also wanted to have some time for other things than VAS, which are also important. So there is a trade-off. P2 doesn't mean that it won't happen, but it's definitely a signal that this is not something for which we will fight, dropping everything else. So I think this is how we should read it. Okay. There was also a discussion about, I think, question about as label. Node topology labels via downward API. Is it under the pass, or should we add it as a separate item here?
Well, I think we should be having like separate items for those, because some of them will be like alpha features, right, Heba? I haven't read fully like through your document.
Well, so the feature that started the conversation is beta on. I don't think we're talking more about that. It's more that the SIG network folks have concerns about topology as labels, and I guess there's like we would need like
this one, okay,
attributes, but I think that I'm not clear which SIG will even lead the design of that one. I'm hoping SIG network would actually propose something, but I think
but I really want to make this P0 TAS beta to remain just as beta and P0, right? Not adding more things there.
My comment here is not to add anything to this P0. We should have this, like as is, because the work is almost there already. I'm talking about the conversation that Kevin just mentioned, which is how to move with the tags to be not like only depend on the labels, but like having APIs and like how to declarative tags basically in Kubernetes, which is a big feature by itself, and it will include node, networking, scheduling, and everything. And this is why the working group is will not own, but will start the discussion and gather these tags to have a decision on these area. So based on many conversation in many places, I put together this document that I mentioned in the doc here, and we will have a discussion related to these proposed action items on the next WAS meeting. And it would be amazing if SIG Scheduling can attend this as well. And I believe we have SIG Networking folks now, and other folks will attend as well.
Okay, so add that for now to the list of candidates. I don't have like enough context yet, so let's follow up on that.
Yeah, the Slack channel, Slack thread has been mentioned already in your post today in SIG Scheduling. So you can read all the thread. And again, the document that I mentioned in the first comment, this is basically the gist, like of everything that people mentioned.
That one.
Yeah. Okay, Matt.
I just have a general comment. As you all can see, this list is getting quite big, right, already, and we're pretty sure when we were analyzing this with Maciej and Dominic that What we currently have is already like at the limit of our approver capacity and also like in general delivery capacity. So we should just be keeping in mind that whenever we are adding something here, we should be also having a discussion what goes out, right? Because otherwise we'll be heading towards another crunching.
Exactly. I think we may improve situation if we call things that are out of scopes early. So we really need this prioritization.
Yeah, I think I was going to say the resource claim support for workloads. That one beta, I mean, well, I guess if we I think we can maybe move that one out of scope. I don't see us making much progress on that one unless somebody else knows.
I need to get back to the GA criteria and see what is needed to be done and how much work. And according to that, we can have a decision. But for now, we can have it as P3, for example.
Yeah, and also this requires the GA graduation of workload and pod group APIs,
yes,
right? So,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly. So there are dependencies here. I believe the preemption, the TAS, the WAS are more important than like anything else. And actually, this lead to the item that I added to the agenda that SIG scheduling has. It's overwhelming. I know that, and we need to help. So how can we help? How can we increase the number of reviewers? Me and my team would love to help as much as we can, but yeah, let's work on this because I feel it's unfair, to be honest. It's a lot of it's a lot of pressure and a lot of work.
Exactly. Regarding P3s, I personally would prefer to have things here rather than having P3s, because P3s means someone is working on it and expects someone to review it. If we have too many of them, we end up in the situation like usual.
So regarding the capacity staff, I was going to say the same thing as Dominic. I think instead of having a lot of PR authors, to have a lot of PRs and like queuing them to the reviewing queue, we should actually focus on the few important PRs. And if you are free, like your hands are free, instead of working on P3 or whatever lower priority tasks, it's probably better to like help review, even if you are not a reviewer. It's like, we are all the team, right? We should make the PR quality like a lot better before the PR is sent to the approver, for example. So that would be one thing that like contributors can help the overall like throughput, I think.
Exactly. If you haven't noticed, the whole point of this planning is to not plan the development capacity, just reviewers capacity. So more reviewers we have, more things we can do.
Yeah, exactly. So like helping reviews is not only for just today's capacity, but it also helps you to like climb up the ladder to the reviewer and approver in the future. And then that helps us to have more reviewers and increasing the throughput of us. So I think that's one thing that we should like prioritize as a team, like having less PLs, focusing on important few PLs as a team.
I agree, to be honest. I have to agree. I know that everything is important, but if we started to just make this less, we can add more features in the future. So
yeah, exactly. For long term, I think that would be much better.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, I have a KEP that I'm very happy to put into the cycle of people who aren't approvers looking at it, if that's helpful. I think mine's the topology spread constraint skew one. I'm very happy to go through some cycles with people looking to become approvers. If that's helpful. I understand that it sounds like you guys kind of want to put P2, P3 things in that bucket, and this currently fell out of scope, so I'm also happy to wait a cycle if necessary.
Yeah, and related to that, how would you like Dominic and Kenzie and everyone? How would you like to get the review work distributed between people? It's like everyone is responsible for a specific feature or specific domain, like WAS preemption, TAS, something like that, or how would you like this to happen?
That's a good
We
question.
can help. Yeah, we
Yeah.
need to help, basically.
That's a good question. So I think we can think about some reviewing process to be more formal, because one thing that we try to avoid, at least internally, is to have too many reviewers on single PRs, so that it generates a lot of comments, a lot of work for the author to address all the comments. So it is better to have less reviewers, but with deeper review. So that's a good question. How you want to organize it?
That's a good point. I mean, like, on one hand, I think it might be efficient for example, Dominic is always taking a look at composite part group, and me taking a look at topological scheduling. That might be efficient for short term, but on the other hand, I feel like that will, for example, let's say Dominic is going for vacation, and someone else has to take over his reviewing work at around CPZ. Then, because we only have a few approvers. I'm talking about approvers. I'm not talking about the first situations of the PLs, but I feel like my gut feeling here is just not deciding who is owning which area. We just share all the works equally to everyone. I mean, every approvers.
Yeah, but it's important to distinguish the reviewers from approvers. So definitely,
yeah, of course,
anyone can be reviewer, but reviewer job would be very similar to the approver job. So the things that reviewer should look into is exactly the same thing like what approver should look into. So it's probably the problem with triaging, who should be asked to review. Maybe it should be our role, scheduling.
Probably it's something that we should. I mean, approvers and leads should discuss, because, like I said, it really depends on even if you send the PL to be approved for Dominic might be on vacation next week, right? So that could happen. So I feel like routing PLs to the approvers, that might be that router has to be us, that sort of stuff.
I don't want it to step over Morten. So Morten, if you have anything, but I need I have a feedback or an answer for Kenzie and Dominic point.
I was going to talk about something a little bit different. So if you want to go first, go ahead.
Okay. So I don't know how many approvers we have, but as far as I know, there are 3 only, I believe. I don't know if
3 and plus 2, like Anya is now approver
perfect.
and
So I believe because the approvers, we can, I don't know. It's up to you. I don't want it to get involved and like how to manage the SIG, but at least for the reviewers, I believe it is better to just like dedicate specific reviewers to a specific area and have a backup for them. So, for example,
Yeah.
Matt is reviewing the WAS and Heba is reviewing the TAS, and each one of them are backup for each other, for example.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
like that's totally okay for reviewer layer, I think.
yeah,
For approver layer, because we
for the
only
approver,
have
yeah.
a few people. Yeah.
For the approvers, I believe we can have like 15 minutes every SIG scheduling meeting, or at least 10 minutes. Go through the the status for the review, specifically the review, and like the needs for approval column. It will be for the approvers to discuss. Like you can assign basically who is working on which PR, and we can depend on the dashboard a little bit to get this work, like async between us. But if that's okay, let's start to agree on the reviewers as at least. It's like, yeah, these people will review everything related to Q, everything related to TAS, everything related to WAS, like the cube scheduler, whatever, the DRAs, stuff like that. And then we can have backup for them. They can be backup for each other. And then the approvers, you can discuss. I don't want it to like to get into.
Yeah, for reviewer layer, I think that would be okay. I mean, like that makes sense, I think.
So one problem with looking into it every SIG meeting, it may be not enough. Probably the PR will be already reviewed by Maciek by that time. So I think we need some process to do it faster. But
the dashboard should be the async way, but we need to have like a dedication on updating it. It's like, yeah, like I'm reviewing this PR right now. I need to add my name here. I think this is the way that we can get the work async even without meeting. But I think it's like like we need to have this habit. It's like updating it.
Let's work on it. I will keep it on the agenda for the next meeting. So I hope to have, maybe we can work out some proposal.
Yeah. And one thing I want to make sure is that even though we are saying that approvers are busy, I want to like make sure that everyone like feeling free to like ping us if there's any like important discussion happening. Like the worst case that we should avoid is that some decision is made without us involved, and like at the PR reaching to us, we will be like, oh, this is not something we should do, and like going back to the like discussion phase again. So that would be a wasteful that we should avoid. So even though we like in this meeting we continue to say like we are pretty busy, we have to reduce the load to the approvers, but like just feel free to ping us if there's any like really important discussion, even though the PR is still not like a good quality. Yeah, that's just one thing that I want to make sure.
Yeah, I think that's also a very important point. Sometimes it's better to raise concerns earlier than
exactly.
First the PR, and at the very end hit the approver like.
Yeah, then revert to the initial implementation phase. That would be really bad.
Yeah. Okay, Martin.
Yeah, I wanted to ask quickly about at the end of 137 talks about alignment between DRA and VAS. And I think the DRA preemption, some interesting questions came up. So I was wondering what we want to do about that, because it seems non-trivial and might require some discussion about what we want to do with it.
Yeah, I was hoping that Wojtek is back, because I think he had some input to this discussion, but I'm not sure when he's going to be back.
It'll be second week of September, so still like 2-3 weeks. But yeah, overall, this is something we would love to do, but depending on what we decide to do with preemption and overall DRA having this global state that is making preemption difficult, track inside the plugin, right? Because it's hard really to simulate, like do the simulation that we do like as a part of the preemption to decide like which victims we should evict. So depending on like what we agree on, like what should be the solution, it might be like pretty expensive to do, and because of that, it's very unlikely that we will be able to do anything in 138, which is unfortunate.
You mean alignment then, or DRA preemption? Because preemption DRA is kind of like it keeps coming up as a pretty important gap.
It's important, I agree, and but it's also expensive to do it like properly. Expensive on like the on the side of the SIG scheduling approvers and overall like designing the right solution.
So I think we need to have alignment within 138, but I'm not sure if we are able to have implementation in 138. That's
Okay.
Let's follow up in the comment, and also I'm not sure if we can wait for Wojtek, since he was.
I mean, we can like continue discussing, but yeah, just to make the expectations clear, I think alignment is probably like max we can do in 138, which is again unfortunate, but as you can see, there's like a lot of other things that.
Yeah, that's probably maybe one of those hard decisions.
Yeah.
Okay, we are over time. Is there any other question? If not, then okay. Thank you, everyone.
Have a good day. Bye.